You have to start running Triple Tonic on a bunch of different champions after its recent buffs, while Volibear has really taken a beating from his nerfs. So we've got all this and much more to cover in today's video as we provide you guys with an update on all the new meta trends along with the tier list for every single role. But first, some hard truths. YouTube is built for the algorithm, not your LP. That means clickbait titles, junk food topics, and stretching simple tips for watch time. We're part of that system too, just like every guide and YouTube channel. And because every video is randomly surfaced to you as a singular guide and topic, advice often contradicts what you just watched. No context, no plan, more confusion. On our website at SkillCapped, however, we're free from all that, allowing us to focus on what actually matters. We teach in the most efficient way to really rank you up fast, with the same premium editing and challenger level coaches you see here, just without the algorithm's hoops. Start with our essentials courses for every role, updated for season 15. These are meticulously planned step-by-step guides that build your fundamentals in the right order. Once you've finished essentials, move into the advanced courses. Deep dive wave control, advanced mechanics, the proven bronze to diamond climb paths, and literal world record jungle clears for each jungler, all structured so lessons stack instead of contradict. While you follow these learning paths, we also release our popular challenger walkthroughs, new sessions every week showing how to abuse the best meta champs for your elo, supported with an AMA section below each video, which we always respond to. We back it with a Climb 5 Divisions improvement guarantee while you're actively using SkillCapped, plus a 30-day refund change of mind policy on top of that, so there's literally no risk. Stop trying to mix and match random guides and start following a structured path far away from all the noise. Click the limited time discount link below to join SkillCapped today. When it comes down to tanks up in the top lane right now, Malphite is a cut above all else, but trailing right in behind and becoming even stronger for this patch is Sion. Riot buffed one of Sion's main runes for 25.22, being cashback, so he's seen a nice indirect boost in power. Sion was already a top tier pick even before the rune buff came through, so there's just more incentive to play him right now. Similar to Malphite, Sion is one of those tanks that is going to be super consistent for you because he doesn't need a ton of resources to be effective. The mix of tankiness and crowd control allows for Sion to be impactful no matter the state of his lane. Even if you die once in lane, you can completely make up for that by getting a nice roam playoff down bot lane at level 6, so there are a lot of ways to be relevant on Sion without needing to win your own lane. Overall, just one of the best tank top laners that you can play right now, and Sion is placed up in the top lane S tier. If we take a look at the top lane tier list for 25.22, Malphite will continue to be the most OP champ in the game. Volibear received a few buffs this patch that were aimed at helping him in the top lane, but they've been pretty irrelevant for the most part. Top lane Volley's win rate went up by less than 1%, so our pre-patch prediction of the champ continuing to remain a mediocre top lane pick has played out. Top lane Yone has actually gained a decent amount of power from his buff as Q base damage went up by 5. We aren't seeing as much of an increase in power from mid lane, and this is because in mid, it's definitely harder to make use of that buff in the early game. With top lane Yone, you're going to be able to trade right from level 1 in a lot of matchups, trying to tag the enemy with Q when they go for last hits. In mid though, if you're up against a meta ranged champ, you won't have the opportunity to get nearly as much value out of the Q buff during the first few levels. So we're going to be giving Yone a bump up into the top lane A tier as a result of how this buff has landed. So after dominating the jungle meta for a couple of months, Volibear is finally on the weaker side of things for 25.22. The changes have turned out net negative, as losing the damage on E and then losing movement speed on Q has heavily outweighed the base stat buffs. We thought that because Volley's base AD went up, that his Trinity Force build could potentially save his strength in meta, but that has not been the case either, as regardless of what build you run, the champ is in a much weaker state now and will be dropped down into the jungle B tier. So with the rune changes Riot issued for this patch, there are a few champs who can take advantage more than others, and one of those is Kha'Zix. Kha'Zix with First Strike has seen a nice boost in power for 25.22 because he can look to run 2 of the runes that were buffed in the inspiration tree, being Cashback and Triple Tonic. Triple Tonic in specific is a really interesting rune right now because if used correctly, it can provide a ton of value in an early to mid game skirmish. You now get 30 adaptive damage when you pop the Elixir of Force as opposed to only 20 from last patch. So what this means for Kha'Zix is that he's receiving 18 AD on Elixir pop, which is the equivalent to 700 gold worth of stats. So this is basically like you having 2 kills worth of additional gold at level 6 when you're in a skirmish. Ka is a jungler where if he has more stats than the opponent, then he's likely just going to stat check them in a 1v1. You can't really miss your damage with Ka because the majority is coming from Q and it's point and click. So if you just have better stats than the enemy does, you are very likely to win. So by going for Triple Tonic, it just gives you a really nice window to win out in a skirmish at level 6. And for a jungler who needs to snowball to be most effective, the rune synergizes perfectly. And with Talon Jungle getting nerfed for this patch, it just puts Ka in an even better spot relative to all other assassin junglers, as Kha'Zix is placed in the S tier as the best assassin pick of the patch. So looking at the jungle tier list, a lot of the predictions we made during pre-patch have played out quite nicely. Ivern is now in a really solid spot because he got to benefit from 3 different rune changes due to Cashback, Nimbus Cloak, and the movement speed rune shard getting buffed. AD Shaco is looking a lot more competitive now because of the Hail of Blades buff, and he's a good A tier pick for 25.22. It turns out the Skarner changes have actually landed net negative for him, which is pretty insane. insane. Even though Skarner's AD ratios and AD growth were buffed, his R cast time was increased, and it's looking like that cast time increase was a lot more impactful than what Riot was going for. Skarner's win rate literally dropped a few percent points due to the changes from this patch, so you should continue to stay away from him for solo queue as he's being moved right back down into the C tier. We were hoping that with the AD ratio changes going through, that some bruiser variant builds could lead to more viability for the champ, but that has not been the case so far. So we mentioned during the intro that Triple Tonic is now a really strong rune on a bunch of different champs, and it's mainly mid laners who have strong level 6 all-ins that are most optimal with the rune. So the thing about the elixir that provides you with bonus adaptive damage is that you receive it once you hit level 6. This means champs who have really strong all-in power at 6 are going to find the most amount of consistent success with the rune. So think Syndra, Vel'Koz, Annie, and Zed. All of those champs have a really strong level 6 and can threaten for solo kills, so grabbing Triple Tonic makes so much sense for them. So for Syndra, this is what your full rune page should be looking like. Skip Biscuits and grab Triple Tonic in its place. For Vel'Koz, it's going to be Triple Tonic with Cosmic Insight for secondaries that will work the best. For Annie, you can take First Strike as the keystone and go for a super heavy all-in strength page with Axiom Arcanist and Scorch in secondaries. Zed is really good with First Strike as well, getting to abuse the buffs to both Cashback and Triple Tonic. So overall, don't be sleeping on the Triple Tonic rune moving forward, as the power that it provides for your level 6 all-in is not to be understated. One mid lane champ in specific who's really liking the direction of the rune changes in 25.22 is Kassadin. So Kassadin is a bit of a unique champ in the sense that he has many different viable rune setups that he can run. Electrocute is the most popular right now, but with Cashback and Triple Tonic receiving buffs for this patch, he's absolutely loving First Strike as his keystone rune. The thing about Kassadin is that you really want to accelerate into your core build and your level 11 as fast as possible. By going for the inspiration tree as opposed to domination, it just gives you access to a lot more gold, which helps you get to your mid-game spike more reliably. So inspiration primary and then domination secondary is the page that you want to try on your cast for 25.22. This page has got even better because of the nerfs to Second Wind and Resolve secondary just not being as powerful as before. So we have a look at the mid lane tier list. There isn't any need for any adjustments as we reach the midway mark of the patch. OP tier will stay the same with Morgana, Diana, and Naafiri in the top 3. All the changes we made pre-patch have turned out the right choices, as LeBlanc ended up losing around 1% win rate from her nerfs, so she's no longer an OP pick. Naafiri is absolutely loving this patch because of the Hail of Blades buff, and we've seen the play rate of the rune on Naafiri see a really big spike, so we like our decision with moving her into the OP tier. Uxin, Aurelion Sol, and Yone were the 3 other mid lane champs directly changed for this patch, but their power levels haven't shifted a significant amount, so we aren't adjusting their tier list placements. And then, since there were no ADCs changed in 25.22, we will continue to have the tier list aligned with Jinx and Ashe up in the OP tier. The nerfs to Biscuits have turned out pretty negligible for the most part. As for Ashe in specific, the win rate of Biscuits on her literally only dropped about 0.4% due to the changes. That being said, free boots have always been a really good alternative to Biscuits on Ashe, so if you're in a lane to where you really don't think you'll need any additional sustain, then just go free boots with approach velocity for your secondary runes. And then the Bloodline buff didn't really do anything to boost the strength of any specific ADC a significant amount either, so this was definitely one of the least meta-shifting patches that we have seen for the role all season long. It was a lot of the same down in the support role for 25.22, as there were a bunch of minor adjustments, but nothing that has swung the meta in any meaningful way. We were optimistic that Poppy and Pyke would both see a decent win rate boost for this patch due to the Hail of Blades buff, but their win rates haven't really budged at all from where they were last patch. It's not even looking like the movement speed shard buff has been enough to warrant taking it over the health shards. The Blitz buffs have turned out quite positive though, and he's been one of the bigger winners of the patch. Blitz win rate is up around 1%, and he's just shy of an S tier spot now, especially with heavy priority being put on enchanters like Melio and Nami right now. There's a lot more value to pulling out Blitz due to his buffs. Alright guys, one last thing, our rank up guarantee is insane. It's like signing up for the gym and getting a refund if you don't get ripped. That's how confident we are in SkillCapped. We obsess over making the best guides with top players, rigorous testing, and top tier video editing to make your climb easy. If you're ready to level up, visit SkillCapped.com and see the difference. So there you have it everyone, that is what the meta is looking like for every single role as we reach the midway point of 25.22. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.